Good afternoon. My name is Pedro. I'm the CEO of LJ Group. And today I'm going to be speaking about how to design places that embrace your communities and the environment that you live in. Before starting a presentation, I would just like to say special thanks for the Lee Foundation and also to all the organizers of this event, together with the other participants, Karina that is here, Stephen, and teacher Han as well from Ho Chi Minh University. Um, Before going to the point and to the topic, I would like to share with you perhaps some simple definitions. I looked to what I thought that was more basic to us to have an understanding of what we are speaking. So, community is a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. So, your community, it means that you need to have something that you are doing in common. So, you can play a sport and you can have a community. You can drink something and have the community of drinkers. You can have a community of people that are in the same place. So not necessarily is implicit that you are in a place. Means that you can be in a place, but means also that you have something to share. So community, in my opinion, is something intrinsic related to share common things. An environment, the surrounding or conditions in a person or animal or plants live and operate. So environment is what provide the conditions to us to build our community. So what comes first? Probably the environment. You cannot have your community if you don't have the environment to place your community. Or vice versa. Also, you can have the environment and not have the community, but one is linked to another. One in terms of common things, and the other in terms of space. So I would like to speak and to share that a bit about our community and where we are. So 12 years ago, I came to Vietnam with a very big misconception with what I would find. I remember coming here with the idea of the war that the fall of Saigon. This is a classical picture, very close to where was our office, and I have this conception of war. I didn't have exactly what to find, but when I arrived, I was positively surprised, and we set our office exactly on this building. So you can see just on the back you have where that iconic picture was placed, and we set our office in a balcony and we sat right there. And I was surprised how different it was, but how common it was as well from Brazil to Vietnam. So on your right, you can see the pictures of the carnival in Brazil with traditional dances, songs, and cultural diversions. And you can see on the left side a few festivities that you can see on Tet, like the dragon dances and things. So at the same time, although we were different, I found a lot of common things as well that I was interested to discover. And this was due very much to the environment that we are. It's hot, tropical climate with torrential rains. So although we were totally different in different hemispheres, we have a lot to share. And we set a space also based on that. So this is a little bit where we are, and we tried, inside a space to do something that we could share, that we could make an office that was as diverse as possible, like a few years ago. So this is just to share a little bit who we are and our community. So it's a community of research, a community that is embraced on discovery, is embrace the diversity of living together and sharing things together. That's our target. And by that, we end up providing sometimes some good projects as well. But going to the broader view of this, I would like you to think about how different and how the opposites that we are seeing in the same planet, motivated by the environment that we have. So we have places that have explosion of life, multiple species, like if we are living on the tropics, if we are living in a humid climate, you're gonna see this explosion of life, of plants, etc. We can go to the poles where we see is not the absence of life, but a almost complete different way of life. We have no trees. The plants, they cannot make the photosynthesis, and we have perhaps a few animals that are used to this space, but we are living in these diversions. Although we share the same planet, we have the opposite environment sometimes. And I would like to explore how we came from this what we call human-dominated natural landscape. So let's say we have the cities that was spreading around these iconic spaces. So this is a picture of Rio in Brazil, and you can see how this is Maracanã, and we have, like, for example, all the cities spreading around this green space. So we have a density of population that went from took like centuries to get 1 billion. Now we are reaching 8 billion. But in the same country, this is in the Amazonia, you have places where we have a much more sparse population, where the nature dominates the human landscape. So we are a small part of this nature landscape. But you can see how conflictuous and how do this explosion of population we came to face like these two scenarios that are more and more common. And this is a little bit how we see also how happens like true, not, I will not call evolution because we are on the same time. These pictures, they are not so different in time, but how we came to this scenario of population explosion to a scenario of sparsity where we are more visitors, and do that we start to transform the environment that we live in. This is one example what happens in this environmental relation. So on your left, you can see that Amazonia for centuries were, for millennia and millions of years, were used like sand of Sahara or fertilizer. This is a process that happens naturally through the wind. And on your right side, you can see a different system in terms of pollution. For example, you have the harvest fires that happens on sometimes when you are burning rice, and this pollution is spread. So this connection with our planet comes for beneficial or not so beneficial ways, so we can spread pollution of it. So somehow we are always, like or not, we are connected in a micro and but also in a large scale. And how we have evolved from a process where we were in this individual cell. Like this is already a much close process. I grew up without a phone, but now we connect to our phones and we are connected to the world and we see what we are living. And even on the crowds now, you are in a show, but you are, all of you have already experienced the situation that you are in a place speaking with someone, that the person is not there at the same time, because he's connected virtually with other persons. So this is about the connections that we are creating. And now more about this new scenario that is happening through AI as well, that we don't know even what is real and what is fake, so we cannot identify more what are the things that we are seeing. So is the opposite of what we had, so we cannot identify this is another system of landscape. And I will speak how this also is manifested in our cities as well. So we have the distance that is created. This is not something only from nowadays, before you have castles, but you can see how the lack of communication can happen also in a city. So you have this big community. So this is Aravi, and then you have the residence of a rich billionaire that spread this private, let's say this, I will not call community, but he have pretty much get this whole city and created one for itself. So you have the necessity of being together contrasting with this necessity of being by yourself, and how this is manifested inside and outside. So in India and also in Vietnam, you can see, you go on the streets, you see bustling streets with a lot of interaction and a lot of exchange, and you go sometimes on these mansions, and what they see as sometimes as a evolution that is, at least in their eyes, is this separation of what is the cities, right? That is, after all, is this place to stay together, that we need to interact with other people, otherwise cities wouldn't exist. And this also happened in the houses, and how you can see this is a picture of São Paulo. Could be in many places of the world, could be in Vietnam, could be in any city in the world, but how people are creating these fences to isolate themselves, how they are creating like spaces that they cannot communicate with the others. So in your right, you see a mansion from a millionaire of São Paulo, but on the other side, Bin Laden create a bunker to protect itself from the surroundings. So I think worth questioning if what city we want and how we want to connect to other people, and how to make possible how we can relate and how we can create new communities and how we can relate with the environment, because it's a negation. We are negating like both the communities but the environment as well. So inside we create a house with pools, and the cities is not part of where you are anymore. And this is what happens, so we share beautiful lives on the Instagram that can be real or not. We can use like AI to create whatever you want if we want. And sometimes we have these areas that we want that create this vigilante mode where we need to spy for security reasons, or perhaps just to see what people are doing. So this is a reflex of time. I don't know if this is good or bad. Personally, it's something that I think we should question it. So now, in summary, after these images, I will show a little bit of what we have done in a few projects. We cannot address all these points, but this is these points are to make us reflect in what kind of city we want to live in. And I'm gonna share just a few examples of projects that we have done that I think they are like they at least we try to embrace, let's say, our environment and how to make people to stay together, etc. So this is normally a study that we do when we are doing a master plan. So it comes, the relation with our environment comes by studying what was there, what was created. So we took in consideration what are like the roads, what are the animal paths, in order to after create something that will be in accordance to the environment and in respect to what was there. We always try to avoid, let's say, the tabula rasa when we are starting something, and I think is a principle that I think we should do. It is the opposite of like creating these big walls that we have. We're trying to avoid this when we do it. So we should first embrace the environment and the places that we are in order to try to create something new. And I will share also one, this is a small project that we did. It's probably the smallest project that we have done so far in our office. That was a small public space. So we were here for years and we couldn't accomplish our dream to do a public space for several reasons, because we didn't have initiative from the government. We couldn't find a space. And then at one point we decided to do one by ourselves, exactly where I used to live a few years ago. This was 2018. And what you can see here is pretty much our project coming to place. And this is how we start to build our project. So this is images from the security cameras. We start to set a space inside a small alley that we knew, and we start to use some traditional elements from Vietnam. So the first thing we did was to mark the space. So in Vietnam they have explosion of cars happening, and the first thing that we thought that we should do is, in a simple way, was like to mark the space. So we mark a little line on the floor, and we got some elements that I think are very characteristics for everyone who is visiting Vietnam, that are the hammocks. You have coffees that people stay on the hammocks, and we get the plastic stools, and with it we try to create something different. So this is how this was conceived. So it was conceived to create like a space where people could share and create things, and was a demonstration of, let's say, setting up a space that is coming from the private, that was like 3 parking lots, to become something completely public. So we put these hammocks and we start to create these sculptures made out of chairs, and we leave the area to people to interact, to do things. And during the day, this space start to transform into a big party. People start to go have drinks, and to share, was a space for staying together. And you can see that it's hard to see where the project starts and where the city blends in. So although it's totally it's very different in terms of design, it blends in because are the same elements that you see every day in the city, but composed in a complete different way. The way we have organized. And that night people start to gather and etc. Start to use for dance events. People start to play. So this was exactly an area that was like 3 parking lots in a densely populated area that had nothing. And then in one day we were able to create something that, although was temporary, completely changed the relations that were there. For a place that didn't have any kind of connection, people didn't have where to gather, to a place that of interaction and sharing, a place that people could stay to interact with one to another. And after, let's say, the last thing that we did was to share like a little manual of how they could do even the space by themselves. So they could bring their own chairs, they could, so we leave a space for spontaneous generation that was inspired also in their own alleys. So we thought that the best project that we could do is a project that perhaps to set the limits of our projects in the floor, but we could leave space to people to do their own things. A project that was spontaneous, a spontaneous relation with who is living with the street, that we thought that was something that was missing and we wanted to create. So this was a few thoughts. These were mainly points to question ourselves, to make us think, with a few works that we have done as well. But the main purpose would like to share and to explore how, and to question ourselves how we could make a better city, and how we could through our power to embrace and create something that was have a positive impact. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you have enjoyed the presentation.